What's behind the world's most notorious crimes? From the gruesome to the baffling, crimes that shook the world to its core have left us with a plethora of unanswered questions. In this thought-provoking video, we delve into the darkest corners of human nature to explore the motivations, circumstances, and consequences behind some of the most notorious crimes in history. From serial killers to sinister plots, we examine the facts, theories, and mysteries surrounding these heinous acts and what they reveal about human psychology and society. Join us on a journey into the heart of darkness as we uncover the truth behind the world's most infamous crimes. Did you know that according to FBI data, every year there are over 2 million violent crimes committed in the United States? Now imagine how many go unreported. The question is, what could drive someone to commit such horrific acts? What compels them to break the law and shatter the lives of their victims and their families? The desire to understand the why behind notorious crimes is deeply rooted within all of us. It fuels our curiosity and at the same time repulses us. But it's crucial to remember that while these crimes shock us, they also offer a glimpse into the darker aspects of human psychology and societal structures. By exploring these cases, we can gain insight into the motivations, circumstances, and consequences of such heinous acts, ultimately working towards a safer and more empathetic world. We'll start with Jeffrey Dahmer, a name that sends shivers down the spine. This man wasn't just any ordinary criminal. He was a monster who preyed on young men, lured them back to his home, and subjected them to unimaginable horrors. Dahmer's chilling crimes shocked the nation and raised profound questions about the depths of human depravity. Born in 1960, Jeffrey Dahmer's life took a dark turn after his parents divorced when he was just 14 years old. This event had a profound impact on him, leaving him with deep emotional scars that would later manifest in his horrific actions. Throughout his adolescence, he exhibited disturbing behaviors, including an unhealthy fascination with death and dismemberment. These unsettling tendencies were often brushed aside or ignored, failing to raise the necessary alarms about the kind of monster that was growing within him. Determined to lead a life far from the shadows of his past, Dahmer enlisted in the army. However, his time in the service was marred by disciplinary issues, and he was given a dishonorable discharge. Despite his troubled past, Dahmer managed to secure a job at a chocolate factory where he met many of his future victims. He would strike up conversations with them, mostly men of color, and offer them money in exchange for posing for pictures. Unbeknownst to them, they were walking into a trap. These men would be invited back to his house where Dahmer would drug them, often using a pill known as Station X. Once they were unconscious, he would engage in acts of necrophilia and cannibalism, treating his victims' bodies with grotesque disrespect. To dispose of the evidence, he would then dismember their bodies and scatter their remains in nearby locations. Over time, Dahmer's body count rose, leaving a trail of shattered families and unanswered questions in his wake. The climax of his horrifying spree came when one of his victims managed to escape his clutches and alerted the authorities. When the police finally searched Dahmer's house, they uncovered a scene straight out of a nightmare. The stench of decay filled the air as they found body parts hidden in various stages of decomposition. Shocked by what they had discovered, they arrested Dahmer and charged him with 15 counts of murder. During his trial, the prosecution argued that Dahmer should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, his defense attorney attempted to convince the jury that he was insane, citing his troubled childhood and history of mental illness as evidence. But in the end, the jury saw through these attempts to avoid accountability and found Dahmer guilty of all charges. On November 28, 1994, Jeffrey Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, ensuring that he would spend the remainder of his life behind bars. Tragically, His time in prison was cut short when he was brutally murdered by a fellow inmate just 3 years later. Despite his death, the chilling details of his crimes continue to haunt the public consciousness, serving as a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity. Moving on, let's discuss Ted Bundy, a name synonymous with evil. Ted Bundy was a charismatic killer who targeted young women, manipulating and terrifying his victims before taking their lives. Bundy's crimes sent shockwaves across the United States and raised questions about the nature of evil and the flaws in the criminal justice system. Born in 1946, Bundy's early life appeared unremarkable. He grew up in a middle-class family and had no significant criminal record. This made his transition into a life of crime even more perplexing. During college, Bundy became infatuated with true crime stories, which some believe may have played a role in shaping his future actions. One day, Bundy encountered a hitchhiker whom he would later describe as the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. Although he didn't kill her, this encounter sparked a dark obsession that would define his adult life. Bundy began frequenting places where young women gathered, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. He would approach his targets, feigning a cast or a broken leg, and ask them for assistance. Once they agreed, he would either knock them unconscious or lead them to secluded areas where he would then assault and murder them. Bundy's reign of terror continued for years, leaving investigators baffled by the seemingly random nature of his attacks. However, as the body count rose, a pattern began to emerge. All of his victims shared a common physical trait: long, dark hair, and they were all between the ages of 18 and 25. In 1975, a ski instructor spotted Bundy in the company of a young woman who matched the description of one of his previous victims. Although Bundy managed to evade capture at the time, this sighting provided a crucial lead for investigators. As more and more witnesses came forward with similar experiences, a composite sketch of Bundy began to take shape, eventually leading to his arrest. During his trial, Bundy's charisma and good looks made him a media sensation, with many people, including some female fans, still believing in his innocence. He represented himself in court, displaying an impressive knowledge of the law and attempting to poke holes in the prosecution's case. However, the overwhelming evidence against him led to his conviction and subsequent sentencing to death. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair. His death did little to quell the public's fascination with his crimes, which continue to be the subject of intense scrutiny and debate. Next, let's talk about Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez was a serial killer and rapist who terrorized Los Angeles in the 1980s, breaking into homes and attacking his victims with a combination of brutality and sadism. Ramirez's crimes were characterized by their sheer randomness and the level of violence he inflicted on his victims. He seemed to take pleasure in terrifying entire communities, leaving them to wonder who would be next. The media quickly labeled him the Night Stalker due to the nocturnal nature of his attacks and the elusive manner in which he seemed to vanish into thin air after each crime. Despite the fear he inspired, Ramirez's background was anything but sinister. He grew up in a middle-class family and had a relatively normal upbringing. However, as a teenager, he became fascinated with Satanism and other occult beliefs, which some believe may have influenced his later actions. Ramirez's criminal career began in 1984 when he was charged with sexual assault. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. As the body count rose, investigators began to notice disturbing similarities among the victims. All were Hispanic women, and many were attacked in their own homes. Adding to the mystery, Ramirez seemed to leave behind virtually no evidence at the crime scenes, making it incredibly difficult for the police to track him down. Despite the challenges, investigators worked tirelessly to build a case against him. They scoured crime scenes, interviewed witnesses, and followed every possible lead. As the pressure mounted, Ramirez's luck eventually ran out. A witness finally came forward with a crucial piece of information, identifying him as the man they had seen fleeing one of the crime scenes. With this new evidence in hand, the police were able to connect Ramirez to a string of other attacks. His arrest sent shockwaves throughout Los Angeles, bringing a sense of relief and apprehension all at once. The trial that followed was highly publicized, with many people eager to see the Night Stalker brought to justice. Ramirez represented himself in court, using bizarre and rambling arguments to try and confuse the jury. However, the evidence against him was too strong to overcome, and he was eventually convicted of 13 counts of murder. He was also found guilty of 11 sexual assaults, 5 counts of burglary, and 4 firearm violations. On October 1989, Richard Ramirez was sentenced to death. His appeal was denied, and on June 9, 2013, he died in prison from complications related to HIV/AIDS, which he had contracted years earlier. The case of Richard Ramirez remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within seemingly ordinary individuals and the lengths to which a determined investigation can go in the pursuit of justice. As we come to the end of this exploration into the darkest corners of human nature, we are left with more questions than answers. Why do seemingly normal people commit heinous acts? How can we better understand the motivations behind these crimes? And what can we do to prevent them from happening in the first place? By exploring the disturbing cases of Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, and Richard Ramirez, we've glimpsed the terrifying realities of some of the world's most notorious crimes. But it's crucial to remember that each of these cases is just a small part of a much larger picture. They represent a fraction of the violence and suffering that occurs every day around the world, and the countless lives that are forever changed by these horrific acts. While there may never be a single answer to the question of why such crimes occur, we must continue to seek out the truth. Only by understanding the complexities of human behavior, societal structures, and the myriad factors that contribute to these crimes can we hope to create a safer and more empathetic world. As we reflect on the disturbing details of these cases, let us also remember the victims and their families. Their stories deserve to be told and their memories honored as we work toward a future where such horrors are never repeated. Now, let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on these notorious crimes, and what can we do to prevent them from happening again? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to learn more about the psychology of crime, check out our video on the 10 strangest crimes in human history. With its thought-provoking insights and chilling cases, this video is sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. Click the link to watch now.